Hi, creative friends. This is Soraya, and thank you so much for being here. So I received a comment a few weeks ago asking me what a hot glue gun was, and I explained in the comments what exactly it was and, why it was so important and what it was used for. But I thought that I would just gather my art journaling supplies that don't include paints and inks and pencils and all of that other stuff, because there's a whole other side to art journaling that doesn't include your what you would think of are art supplies. But I just want to begin this video by saying that you absolutely, absolutely, absolutely do not need any of this stuff to art journal, because I first started art journaling when I was like a teenager and I had none of this stuff. And I made another video a couple of months after I started my channel where I talked about, start where you are, use what you have. And that is an adage that I firmly, firmly believe in. Like, you do not need any of this stuff I'm going to show you. But I did just want to show it to you in case you are like, oh, should I get this? What is this even used for? Do I even need it? Is it worth it, me getting it, etc.? So I've got a lot of stuff, you guys. I've just kind of accumulated stuff, probably more than I need over the years. So I'm going to start off with my paper cutter. Now, this one is the Fiskars brand, and I don't know if I'm even pronouncing that name correctly, but this here I use a lot, and this is actually very old. The great thing about this is you can just switch out the blades. So this here, I want to say, was probably about $20. And it came with a couple of blades. But then what you can do is you can just buy these blade carriages, and these are only about, I want to say they're under $5. So when this blade gets dull, you just remove it, and then you just, replace the blades. And they do last quite a long time, actually. And this is invaluable for paper cutting, because you just put your paper in here and you just kind of just make a very clean cut. You can measure things. It's invaluable, and I use this a lot. So I'm just going to move this off to the side. Now, over here is an X-Acto knife, and this is something that, you think, oh, like, what do I need an X-Acto knife for, etc., etc. But it does come in handy for so many things. Like, just say you want to cut a very intricate design from a magazine or a book or whatever, and, like, scissors aren't going to cut it. You would go for your X-Acto knife, and I use this. I don't use this a lot, but when I need it, nothing else is gonna work. So it is valuable. And this one is just an X-Acto knife. I'm not sure how much it costs. I've had it forever. Now, over here is a self-healing mat, and what this is for is, say, when you are going to use your X-Acto knife, or if you are going to do anything that's sharp on the mat and you don't want to damage your table. Now, honestly, you guys, I really don't use this at all. I probably used it like twice in my entire life. And this is also by X-Acto, but I don't know. I have it, but I don't use it. So yeah, it's just, I just wanted to show you guys what it is. Now, over here, we have the hot glue gun, and I have about 3 or 4 different hot glue guns. These are relatively inexpensive. You can buy them anywhere. You could probably buy them in Walmart in the craft section. You can go to Michael's. You can buy them online on Amazon. And I want to say this was about $10 to $12. So, not expensive. And then you have these glue sticks, and you can buy them in a pack like so. I don't remember where I got these from, but for 20 of these glue sticks, it shouldn't be more than a couple of dollars. And actually, I think they sell these at the dollar store as well. And all you do is, you just insert this glue stick. Well, first you plug it in, you wait for it to heat up. That probably takes about 5 to 10 minutes. And then you stick this glue stick in, and then you press on the you know, you press on this like so, and then the glue will come out, and it is, it's like a liquidy kind of a hot, it's hot glue. So it's really, really useful for so many things. So I'm gonna show you here. So say, you know, when I made these collages over here, and this was just, you know, this is a learning tool, these collages that I made. And for these thicker pieces of collage, like cardboard, etc., I just use my hot glue gun. And another great reason besides to stick it on there is it's gonna make whatever you're putting on there, like it's gonna make it sit up a little bit. Like, can you see how it like, I'm sorry that I gotta tilt it up there. Can you see how it's sitting up just a little bit? Like it's not integrated onto the paper. So when you're using like a glue, you're gonna integrate the collage into the page so it looks like it's part of the page. Whereas when you use a hot glue gun, it's gonna sit slightly above it. And for say my collages, I really wanted that effect, like because that's what's giving it like the interest, and it's making it into 3D rather than 2D. So the hot glue gun is extremely useful. And another great reason to get a hot glue gun is say like these little embellishments here, like this little handle. I used a hot glue gun to keep it, you know, on here. Like glue is not going to cut it. So in that case, there are some things, and I'll get to embellishments in a minute, but there are some things that only a hot glue gun is going to be able to work for keeping whatever you want to keep onto the page. So yeah, I definitely think that this is a really valuable part of your art journaling supplies, and it's really going to open up a whole new world of art journaling, because now you can just stick so many things with a hot glue gun that you can't with glue. Oh, so I'm just gonna show you this. So after the last time I talked about my hot glue gun, and I used to burn my fingers all the time, you guys, because I forget, you know, that it's hot, and I'm just so engrossed in what I'm doing, and then I burn my fingers. So I mentioned that in one of my videos, and a lady left a comment to help me out, and she said, you know, these mini spatulas that you just use for baking or whatever, they're great to use with your hot glue gun. And then shortly after she said that, I had like one of these kind of clips, you know, like they're like, just say you have a bag in the kitchen, like a bag of flour or whatever, and you need to clip it. So it broke actually, and this is just perfect for me to, like, you know, once I put the glue down and I need to like stick it, this is perfect for me to just kind of tap it down so I don't burn my fingers. So yeah, you can just use different kind of things. This is great because it's like silicone and it's got a little handle, so it's actually perfect. So now I'm gonna talk about scissors. This is a really great pair of scissors that's made specifically for paper crafting. So it is, I don't know what the, oh, this is a Tim Holtz pair of scissors, and it is really, really good quality. Like the ends are really sharp. It gives you a really clean cut. It can get into hard to reach corners. And I really like a specialized pair of scissors, just, you know, specifically made for papers. But I do have a whole bunch of other scissors, honestly, and a lot of times I just grab whatever's available, to be quite honest, but I do enjoy having those scissors. Now this over here is made by Seven Gypsies, and I don't think that company is in business anymore, which is a shame because I just loved all their stuff. And this is a hole punch where you can like slip things in. It's got like a little measuring thing over here, so I don't even think you can buy it anymore. And so you plug it in and it's like an electric hole punch, but it's made specifically for, say, you know, for books and if you're gonna make a sketchbook, etc. But honestly, you guys, this hole punch right here is actually a really high quality hole punch. Now you can adjust it in like any way you want. You can adjust the holes, you can adjust the sizes, and it's made by Memory Keepers, and it's a really, really high quality, durable hole punch. It's made specifically for, say, you know, if you want to make your own journals, etc. And this is kind of pricey. It, I want to say, was about $40, which is kind of expensive for a hole punch, but it is okay. So this one is called Crop-A-Dile, and it's like there's a 2 there, so I'm thinking it's like the second version of it, but it's called Crop-A-Dile 2 by Memory Keepers. And it is kind of pricey, but it is well worth it, because there are journals that I could not have made and put together and bind it in the way I wanted to bind it, say with like ribbons and stuff, if I did not have this. Because like a regular hole punch is not gonna cut it. It's just not gonna work, you guys. It's just not. So this is like invaluable to me, and even though it's pricey, it's well worth it to me. So these again over here are made by Seven Gypsies. They are, like I said, not in business anymore, so I don't think you can get them. And this was part of a collections from the Journey, so they made a whole line of different kinds of embellishments and book covers, etc. Now the great thing about these are, like, look at this. Is that not gorgeous? Like, I'm still, like, obviously they're brand new, I've had them for years, but I am eventually going to make this into a journal. So, you know, there's the front cover and the back cover, and then what I would do is I would collect different papers. Like maybe I want to use a junk journal, maybe I want to use watercolor paper, maybe I want to use all different kinds of paper. Whatever it is, I would cut them to size using my paper cutter, and then I would work on each page. And then like when I'm completely done making the journal, this is the way I work. When I'm completely done making the journal and then I want to bind it, what I am going to do is I am going to get out my hole punch that I just showed you, and then I'm going to do my measurements, and, you know, then I'm going to make my holes, and then I'm going to bind it with ribbon probably. But there are other ways to bind a book. So see, this would be the back cover, this would be the front cover, and I could use it like this, or, you know, I could cover the whole thing up or partially, or whatever I wanted to do. But these are like chipboard covers, and I love them. I love them. I love them. I love them. So let me just show you these over here. These are like ring binder clips. And so basically, if you did not want to, so just say you made the holes over here, you filled it up with pages, and you don't want to bind it with ribbon, you could just use these little binder clip things. And they usually are found in the, like, say, I think these are Tim Holtz. So if you go to Michael's and you go to like where all the book chipboard covers are, etc., you will generally find these. And I think they're made by a few different brands, and they come in different sizes. So see how these are really small? Just say you were going to make like a smaller book, like say maybe a size like this. Now this was a passport that I turned into like a kind of a scrapbook type journal. But say, you know, if you had a smaller book, but this size would even work with, you know, something like this. So these are like binder clip rings, I think they're called, and that's what you would use them for in your art journal. So yeah, so I have like a few of these. I have quite a few of these different book covers here, and I'm glad I bought them because, like I said, I don't think they're in business anymore, so I don't even think you could get them. So these are embellishments, which I am going to get to in a minute, but first I just wanted to show you my heating tool. And a lot of times when I make my videos, I say, you know, I let things dry naturally, and I do. But I used to use a heating tool a lot. It is helpful, so I don't want to, like, say, give the impression that, you know, I never use a heating tool. I generally try not to use a heating tool, but sometimes I get really impatient, and I have like 2 or 3 heating tools as well. I don't use them as much anymore because I have so many journals. So if I'm getting really impatient, I'll work in a journal and then I'll just move it off to the side and then I'll go into another journal, and that way I'm not like sitting there like watching paint dry. You know, but heating tools are really helpful. The only thing I'm gonna say is never, ever, 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 under any circumstances, use a heating tool with glue. Um, that is just my experience. It is going to turn into a big mess, and you are totally going to regret it, for obvious reasons. It's just, you know, glue and heat don't mix well. So yeah, try not to use this with any kind of glue. So I'm just going to move that off to the side. Now, you guys, I had no idea that these things even existed. They're called embellishments, I do believe. And about 7 or 8 years ago, you know, we were living in Colorado, and I became friends with these two ladies, and they had a kind of a business, an art business, and they actually sold these little kits of embellishments. And so I kind of worked with them. I actually made a journal. That journal was published in Somerset Art Journaling magazine. And I used everything that I had in that kit to make my journal. But I had no idea prior to that time that these things even existed. So these are just the most amazing little doodads. Like, look at this nest. And I did show you guys this when I talked about my junk journals, but you can use them in your art journals as well. And I have, especially children's cardboard books, because, you know, the children's cardboard books, the spines are so well built and they can stretch. Generally they can like stretch to accommodate, say, a very three-dimensional object such as this. Whereas, like, you know, like say this book here. Now this book is just, it's a passport actually. Now if I had to put that in there, it's not really gonna work. But I have used this in a children's cardboard book and it was totally fine. But is this not the most adorable thing? Now for this, you would need a hot glue gun to get it to stick properly. And there's just like all sorts of different things. Now, most of these are Tim Holtz. And I do want to show you this here. So these are so amazing. So these are like, you would put them on the end here. So you would put them like, so you would like stick it like so, and you would hot glue this. Now this is very heavy, and I think this is by Tim Holtz. And so I have two of these here. So like, say if you wanted to put, say if you know, say you might want to put like one there and one there, you know, if you wanted like a very kind of a formal kind of a look, I guess. I've never used these ones. These are very, very heavy. But then you have these like smaller ones, which I have used these here. And again, you would use hot glue. And so it just like fits like so, you know. And I have two of these. I don't know where my other one is, but I have two of these. So I would put one here and one there, and I wouldn't put them over here. So I really like these little doodads there, and I love these. Love, love, love. I've used these before, and again, you would use hot glue, and like, is that not adorable? Like a little doorknob on the book. Oh my goodness, I absolutely love this. And I have a few of these doorknobs. Now this one is a very big doorknob, so that I would not put over there. It's too big. But you know, just little like doodads that you have, like, you know, you could put that over there and you could write a word on there. I've done this before, and then you would hot glue it down, and then like, just say I was going to name this journal whatever I was going to name it, like Free Spirited or whatever. So I would write it down in there and on a tag, and then I would, you know, I would hot glue it down. Or they actually have these little kind of pins here. So if it was on a softer page other than chipboard, you know, you could like just stick it right in. Now I could still put it on the chipboard, but I'd have to like find something to drill into the chipboard. And, you know, just paper flowers. Another thing I love are keys. I have all sorts of keys. These are usually by Tim Holtz, because keys, you know, they symbolize so much. You don't have to use any words at all. And also this here is a great, like, isn't that not cute? Like, to put that, like, oh my God, I love that. So, you know, just different paper flowers. That's a clock. And I think most of these, you guys, are by Tim Holtz. So these are all little doodads here. Now this is like, I think this is also Tim Holtz. So just say like you wanted to add, like you wanted to, wow, this thing won't, oh, there we go. Okay, so just say you wanted to name your journal, but you didn't want to like write it here. You could just like, you know, write it on a piece of paper and then just clip it on there. I've done that before too. So these are great for so many different reasons. And then this is also Tim Holtz, a little hanger, and you could put this in your journal, and then you could like, these are great for say a photograph or, and you know, any kind of an image, and you would just clip them onto these little clips. And it's such a great addition to your art journal. And you know, a bird cage, some fabric, of course, and oh my God, you guys, like look at this little like door knocker situation. Like that goes perfectly. Like I love this like kind of Venetian red kind of, it looks like a door, and then this knocker over there. I love it. So anyways, you guys, these are some of my art supplies that are, you know, besides like your paints and your inks and your papers and all of those things. And like I said, you absolutely do not need to have any of these items, but I just wanted to show you, you know, some of the other stuff I use. So if you watched all the way to the end, thank you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.